Right, we've got a bit of a problem with this Lexmoto. Won't start, hot wire no problem, but at the end of the day, I'm going to go. You just have a look what we've found. We've stripped down the ignition barrel, and this is what we found. A lot of corrosion inside, a lot of corrosion underneath. Strip down really is quite straightforward. We'll do the reverse of that when we put it together, but I'm just going to clean this up. Got some WD-40 fast drying contact cleaner. And not that it's particularly recommended, but it's the only thing I've got, so just using a bit of bearing grease, put that back in, hopefully stop it corrosion again and packing it up again. Okay, I'll show you the strip down later. This is what we've got, just spraying it down with a bit of contact cleaner, just wiping it over, just trying to get any excessive corrosion off. Just leave it settle for a bit, and then we'll give it a bit of a wipe down, a bit of a clean, pack it with grease, and then reassemble it. Right. The detail on here is pretty bad. These really have corroded very, very badly. Not that I like doing it, but the contacts are that badly worn that I'm just using a bit of very fine wet and dry to try and take some of the worst off. I don't really want to do any damage, and I just really want to be very careful, but you know, we haven't got much choice apart from replacing the ignition barrel, but okay. Getting a little bit better, but still a lot to come off. Right, corrosion's still pretty bad on these, and I'm struggling. I've got a bit of Scotch-Brite, which I'm going to try next. If you haven't got any Scotch-Brite, just go to your mum's kitchen and make a bit of a... It's basically the same stuff, just green. It's not quite as good quality. Next worst step is a bit of rougher emery cloth. Really don't want to go down that route, but just got to get rid of that corrosion. Right, going to give it a go. This is the other side of the ignition barrel. We're going to clean these contacts here. Obviously you can see that's where the key goes. And a little bit, these aren't so bad as the other side, but we'll just give these a clean up and pack it full of grease and see if it starts. Okay, just going to clean these contacts, but look inside there. If you can see inside, there's some grease. Contact cleaner is basically a degreaser, so whatever you use this on, make sure you grease it up afterwards. Right, just cleaned out the contacts. Just to give the key a couple of moves. Feels a bit rough, so what we're going to do now is just put a little bit of grease in it. Probably should use something a bit better than this, but this is all we've got. I'm not quite sure how this is going to go, but let's try and sort of work it in as much as possible, and then we'll sort of work it in with the key, and hopefully it should give a few more years of service. Right, just found these couple of holes in here. It's the other side of this barrel mechanism here. There's a pack full of grease, but there's no grease in here really at all. I didn't want to spray WD-40 in it because WD-40 will come out, so haven't got anything to inject the grease in there. So what I've just done is took a small piece of grease, put it in the hole, and then rather horribly just blew down it. And that just gets it through, and I did that a few times, and that'll be the grease in there, and hopefully make it last a bit longer again. Right, this is the lock mechanism. Again, suffering from a bit of corrosion, always a pain in the bottom to get back on again. Strip this down again. We'll give it a bit of a grease, give it a turn. It just popped out a second ago. Be careful, there's a spring inside, but release it if you can. And there's the mechanism there. So what we'll do, we just pack this full of grease, and again, you can see a bit on like there, a bit of corrosion on there. The grease will again stop the spring rusting so much and rotting away, and then not being able to use again. So the spring could do with a bit of grease as well. Just a bit of health and safety advice. Really, you should be using gloves, but it's a Sunday afternoon, and I haven't got any, so just give that a good work in, all sides, all the way around, wherever you can. Onto this part of the barrel as well, and then when we get that in there, I'll run, and then we'll give it a good wipe down afterwards. This part here, again, a bit of grease around the spring to protect that spring in this joint here. Make sure that's all well coated, and then a bit inside that joint there, and then slot that back together. Move it a couple of times, rub it around there a bit more, and again inside this slot here. Hopefully it will work a lot better now, and she won't have any trouble when she's out on the road. Okay, just assembling the final piece. That goes in there. Not quite sure which way around, but we'll see it. the end of the barrel goes into that point there, and that just literally turns that to engage and disengage the lock. Alright, again, make sure enough grease in there to keep it serviceable for a long time. Right, just going to reassemble this, and just recommend to anybody really that use a little bit of Loctite on your assembly. I mean, the quality of the parts are amazing for the price you pay for them, so you can't really complain. Bit of Loctite will stop the screw coming back out again, and it'll just mean that you don't have to tighten it up too tight and risk over tightening and stripping the threads. I just put this together. I haven't put any screws in yet, but just again, final check before we put it together. Move it a few times. Feels a lot better. Okay. Right, just put a bit of grease on the top of these contacts just to protect them a bit from the rain and water ingress, and then we'll have a go at assembling it together. Could be a little bit fiddly. First, look which way around that goes. Orientate that into there. It would have been easier if you'd have stripped the front end down, but that's another job, so it's one less job done. Right, so it's slightly fiddly to get in place. I think the best way is to line up these two parts of this bracket, try and get that over there and push it into place, rotating it a little bit, and then it finally sort of settles down into position. That bracket should be on the outside, not on the inside. Let's move that around again. Okay, and then we need to get the next piece and put that over the top. Right, don't forget to put this bit back into the locking mechanism, otherwise you'll be stripping it out again. That just goes in there in a quick turn. Everything moves. Right, now again, check the orientation of that bit there and the into orientation of how you have the key, so the two match. Okay, just beware that this needs to be sort of moved back out of the way, otherwise it makes it difficult for this to go on. Again, line up the orientation, and we'll try and get it on again. That's it, that's gone all right this time. That's it in place, and then we'll just hold it together and get the two screws in. I'll just get some Loctite first, so hold on a second. Okay, just a small dab, that's enough. We'll put that one in. And then we'll do the same with the second screw as well. Again, just on the thread. And tighten it up. Just do one first to get it most of the way. Do the other one, don't do the other, don't tighten them up. Back to the first one. A little bit of a nip. Second one. A little bit of a nip, back to the first one again, and try it again, just to make sure you're all the way, and back to the second one. That's it. Right, now we'll try and put the whole thing back together. Right, remember the truth, give it a go, see what happens. Right, nervous. That's a good start, and the fuel pump is running. Didn't have that before, so we should be ready to go. Let's kick this clutch in. Just going to try and put the barrel, put everything back together, and the cable tie and the phone connection. Let's try and mount it up first. It's just a little bit fiddly. It's not impossible, but it's just not that easy. Get everything lined up. Okay. Right. Thinking about it, if we take the keys, we can actually use the key to help us hold it in position. While we're doing this, bit of Loctite on both screws. Okay, I think I found the best way to put it. A hand down this side of here, through here. Well, you can see that. Move the handlebars round a little bit, and then that's straight in line, and tighten that up. The other one may not be. It's easy. Just pull that into position. Just feel it again, not tight until both of them are done up, and then we'll get the socket set on it. Right, just put those two in hand tight with the screwdriver extension, and I'll try and get this in here and then tighten it up. Again, don't do it too tight. These parts aren't the best in terms of Don't forget you're sort of going into a cast alloy, so it's not too much. And move across to the second one. We can get in it. That's better. All about getting into the right place. Again, not too tight. We have put some Loctite on it, so it shouldn't drop out. Nice and feel. Make sure this still turns. I'm so using that it did even when it was new. And then back to the first one again. Right, found it easier to put this on very last. Again, they're little self-tapping rubbishy screws, but put a bit of Loctite on. Hopefully it'll keep it going. Hold it. Okay. Right, just taking the end off that screwdriver first, because we haven't got much access. Get it the right way up, does help. Just gently put that over, trying not to lose the screws. Tighten that in place. Second screw. Just a little bit of a tip if you're not used to doing this, always turn anti-clockwise first. That allows the thread to pick up the original thread, and then go clockwise and tighten it up. I'll just get the end of the ratchet on there to put it more. Right, just found a problem when we were just testing it out. Started great, fine. Steering lock wouldn't go on at all, so obviously just a bit of alignment. I've just loosened this off a bit, so we've got a little bit of movement here. Turn the steering wheel, lock it in position, fill that bit there, leave it sort of settled in the middle, and then we'll tighten these bolts back up again.